This is C4W3 from Care4Kids. Please visit us at Care4KidsEVE.com. And I was told to have Bamm as a punching bag, but I'm more of the hugging kind of guy. So if we ever meet, I will hug you.
Welcome back. This is episode, I think it's 11? No, 12? It's an episode in the teens. Right, we have got quite a bit of news for you guys today, covering Amazon's Lumberyard, Google VR, and other bits and pieces. Booker, take it away, dude.
Yes, Bamm. Okay, our first item of the night is a little look at Google VR. Now, obviously, Google have entered into the VR market with their Google Cardboard. In fact, they pretty much started the whole thing with Google Cardboard. But it seems they're going to shift up a gear now as they shuffle around some of their senior vice presidents and put somebody called Claire Bavor, who's very well respected within the Google infrastructure, in charge of their virtual reality development. Rumours are that there is a virtual reality Google headset out there with its own processor, but this is all complete speculation. And of course, don't forget, as I mentioned in one of our previous episodes, Google has some massive investment to the tunes of hundreds of millions of dollars into augmented reality firm Magic Leap. And I suspect their real thrust into the world of virtual reality will be with that company. But that product's probably several years away. So it may be that they're going to chuck out a nice, cheap-ish VR headset out there in the meantime. We'll have to see.
So, from Google Cardboard or VR Cardboard to Google Cardboard / plastic?
Probably, yeah, Google, bit of plastic, some glass and some electronics, but I'm not sure if that's a name that will really catch on.
Fair enough. I can't wait to see what Google put out, because right now the HTC Vive is selling for quite a lot more than the Facebook's Oculus. Yeah,
you're absolutely right, King News. There does seem to have been a bit of a leak today in that the HTC Vive VR headset will cost $799, trumping the Oculus Rift by $200. This is a leak. It is not confirmed. They're expected to actually announce this at the Mobile World Congress in Barcelona that's just coming up. But $799 has been released. Pretty expensive. I can't say that I'm surprised. There is additional tech on the Vive that the Oculus Rift does not possess, i.e. the external sensors to know where you are within a room. So it will be interesting to see how that is received. That is literally breaking news just before we came on to record this episode, Bamm.
Yeah, I get that. It's just, for me, the Vive and the Oculus are way out of my price range because I'm a filthy casual console peasant. You know, I'm not going to spend $800, $900 on a freaking VR headset. I've got to wait for Sony to come out, you know. But fortunately for the Vive, or HTC's Vive, you get 2 room sensors, you get 2 hand controllers, and you get like an extra bit of tech so you can see stuff in the room. With the Oculus, it just seems like a bargain basement. Here's a VR headset, here's an Xbox One controller, go forth and be merry.
I think any Oculus Rift employee would be very interested to hear you call it a bargain basement effort. I have to agree that there are advantages to the HTC Vive, but that has me warming to it greatly, apart from the price, of course. And we've all heard my opinions on the Oculus price, so it's not going to get any better with the HTC Vive. I'm with you, mate. I'm waiting for PSVR. Now, the funny thing on that, and it almost caught me out this morning, but it does say that the package will be bundled with HTC Vive with 2 games, one called Job Simulator and another one called Fantastic Contraption, which I have to admit I've no idea what that's all about. That ties in quite nicely with a tweet that we found found this morning that actually nearly sucked me in until I just looked to the side and saw it as a parody account. It was supposedly from Kaz Hirai, the CEO of Sony, and the tweet said the HTC Vive is $799. So he obviously heard the rumor, the leak before everybody else did. and it comes with Job Simulator, so you can practice for the second job you'll need to pay off your $799 credit card bill.
Yes, Booker, I agree. You know, that was quite funny. Yes. Now, I've got a very good point that I'd like to make here. I just hope to God that these different headsets and peripherals and whatever have some sort of, you know, cross-compatibility, because I'd hate to have a community completely divided on what headset they use, and then a flame war between that. Can't we just develop a game that has all three headsets, i.e. PS4, HTC Vive, whatever else Samsung's doing, and all that cross-compatible in it? Because as of now, all I can really see is CCP doing it, where it's got EVE Valkyrie on PC and PS4, and Gunjack on the Samsung. I just really hope they actually go ahead and do something with the HTC Vive as well, and actually incorporate HTC into not Dust 514. But Booker, we will come to that topic in the B block.
I think probably we're going to end up with problems in that you're going to not be able to play games on one system and can on the other. It's a little bit like having monitors that will only accept certain types of game, and it's your interface with the computer, and they should all be compatible with each other. But we will have to see how that goes on. It's all down to how the developers can basically be very proactive in this sort of area. And speaking of developers, there's a segue. Some news this week that I was super excited about, because I do like to dabble a little bit myself, from Amazon, who gave the world Lumberyard. Are you aware of what the blooming hell I'm talking about, man?
No, Booker, actually, no. I caught a little bit of news about the Lumberyard. I know it's got something to do with games, graphics, or something like that, but I'm more interested in the drones, you know, and the flying regulations about them doing deliveries to my front door. That's what I'm more interested in. But carry on. This is interesting. Carry on.
Amazon will bring that to you in your lifetime, Bam. Don't you worry. But in the meantime, yeah, so a little bit over a year ago, the company Crytek, who runs the Cry engine, ended up in some financial bother, and Amazon stepped in and bought them for about $70 million. They've been fiddling around with it and upgrading it for a year or so, and in a whole load of back-end interaction that wasn't there before, and Twitch interaction, which obviously is growing bigger and bigger these days as online streaming becomes a thing of immense proportions. And Lumberyard was brought to the world earlier this week, I think it was, and is basically the CryEngine for free for everybody. And that's a pretty big deal. Now, obviously, there is a way in which Amazon plan to make money from this, but it's not from your game or a share of profits of your game. It's the services that you must use with their AWS, Amazon Web Service. So you are tied in, basically, with using Lumberyard to using Amazon's back-end services. Since if you're making an online multiplayer game, you're probably going to be paying somebody, and possibly Amazon anyway, for those back-end services. I don't think this is a massive cross to bear. It's just that you are tied into Amazon. But for me, as somebody who's dabbling their toes in the waters of game design and game development, to get such a gorgeous engine absolutely available for free to learn and make a game in, I was just absolutely, I was like a little girl giggling to myself, like I'd just got a Cindy doll for Christmas. I was like,
This is C4W3. Right now we're having a get-together for Care4Kids in Sweden, and from us to all the supporters and everyone helping Care4Kids, a big thank you, and have a great weekend.
welcome, and thank ourselves for the news, and we move on to ourselves for Dust 514. Apparently, our opinion has been sought on the impending demise of our once favoritist game on the planet, and its not appearance on PC, kind of. Where do you stand on the demise of Dust 514, Bammster?
We all knew that day would come. It came too soon. Blah blah blah. Poetic blah blah blah. All that jazz. I post a lot of poetic bits from, different people, particularly from Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens. I posted quite a lot of that stuff because that was quite prudent, best of times, worst of times, age of wisdom, age of foolishness, all that stuff. It rang true with a lot of the Dust 514 stuff. I'm actually quite sad to see it go, believe it or not. It was a good game until the sycophants got involved and started changing things to suit their particular playstyles, and the developers actually listened to them, yeah, but that's a different opinion for a different time. It's about time, Booker. It would have been better if they just killed it a year ago, completely dead and dusted. But, for various reasons they kept it going. God knows why. But, yeah. I'm glad to see it go, finally. Finally, I know it's probably a very controversial opinion about that. I'm actually glad to see it go. Because, as another person keeps putting out videos about the Phoenix, the main game has to die to be reborn as something else, something better. And yes, it's going to be put onto PC, but from PC it will go to PS4. I'm certain it will go to PS4 because look at what they're doing now on EVE Valkyrie in Newcastle, about 5 miles from where I live. CCP Newcastle are working on EVE Valkyrie and they're doing a PS4 port to work on the PS4 headset. So I don't see why not Dust 514 will be a VR first-person shooter with a PS4 version of it. So that's my tinfoil about that, Booker. So yeah, I'm sad to see it go, but at the same breath, I'm quite glad. It's like, finally.
I'm a little bit conflicted because a lot of people have still enjoyed Dust 514 in the last year or so, since it really, its end was obvious. The thing is with Dust, it kind of took a few wrong turns and didn't go where we wanted it to. And we were all hoping we would hear the Legion, so to speak, would end up on another console as well. But we have to resign ourselves to the fact that it's going to be a PC entry into the whole development cycle. But we have no information about that, Bam. Can you believe it?
Well, believe it or not, this is typical CCP. Everything is top secret, secret. And no one will know a damn thing until they're good and ready to know about it. The only thing people have got to go on is a speculation, and often, like I said before, speculation is often quite negative.
I don't know if the same development team is working on it or if there's a different development team. I mean, obviously, a lot of the same people are going to be involved, and they have got a lot of experience now in producing what they wanted out of Dust. Will they be able to take that over to PC and make that? Because obviously the PS3, they were very restricted in the amount of power they had to make the game that they wanted, and it's clear in retrospect that the PS3 was never going to be able to provide the game that we wanted, because it was at the end of its cycle when they started developing for it, and it just didn't have the power for what that game really, really needed. And I am hopeful that using the power of a PC, we will see the sort of game that we always wanted from Dust 514, whatever they call it. For us, it'll always be the grandson of Dust 514, whatever they want to call it. It's not going to be Legion, apparently. It'll be something interesting, I'm sure. But I will be first in the queue. I will be there looking for a beta entry. I will be there looking to join in on the whole EVE FPS not gravy train, but the development process as it happens. I will be really looking forward to this game. They just need to get it right.
Booker, look, I totally agree, right? They started developing Dust 514 on the PS3 to fulfill a contract, and I reckon the reason why they're shutting it down now is because the contract's come to an end. That's ultimately it, to fulfill a contract. Now, for me, I really hope they bring it to the PC. I really hope they do, because it's just a stone's throw away from the PS4. Plop, and if not the PS4, maybe the PS5. God knows, God knows. We're already in the 3rd year of the PS4. It's an awesome console, and we might not see a replacement for another 5 years. You never know. We might not see Dust 514 not Dust 514 for another 2 years. It's going to be our very first VR FPS, and if CCP get this right, a little podunk backwater development house in Iceland is going to be one of the biggest development houses out there.
Yeah, they could do it. I mean, they've made amazing strides with Valkyrie, as we all know. You've had a little peep at that yourself, and I know it didn't dampen your enthusiasm. And I'm just wondering what they could do with the insight that they for that. What they could do in an FPS environment, and whether they could get over the perennial motion sickness problem with the new tech.
Well, I'm pretty sure they can. They managed to hammer it with EVE Valkyrie. There's some excellent development work going into that. There is no motion sickness. It's just you get tired, you get physically drained because, yeah, it is just that intensive playing EVE Valkyrie. Now, with the first-person shooter, I reckon they could do it as well. They're just going to have some serious development on that side of it. But, you know, it's interesting to see where they're going to be developing it. You mentioned before they might be doing it in Shanghai. They might be doing it in Newcastle. They might even be doing it in the new headquarters of CCP. But, to be brutally honest, my tinfoil is floating around London, believe it or not. I reckon they're moving their development house for the entire UK to London. If not, maybe moving it all into Newcastle. So I reckon there's going to be a new house in London somewhere. So CCP London. And to be honest, it makes geographical sense. The rent's going to be extortionate though. But it does make geographical sense. You know, move it to the hub city of the UK. You know, so that's what makes... Yeah, so that's for me really. You know, CCP Valkyrie, CCP Valkyrie? CCP Iceland, CCP London. You know, so I reckon the Shanghai office is going to get shit canned. And then move to London. That's what I reckon is going to happen.
You never know. That's a bit of tinfoil for the day. So, I mean, wrap it up. We are sad, obviously, that Dust is leaving us. It was a large part of our, like I say, the gaming fraternity that we belong to now. But it is time for it to go. And the sooner it's gone, my take on it is the more resources get poured into the next chapter of the EVE FPS universe, whatever form that takes. Roll on the future, that's what I say.
Damn straight, Booker. I couldn't agree with you more. As always in a closing statement, the sooner this game gets put down and out of its misery, and I hate to use those particular words, but I'm actually quite frustrated the game's still going, the sooner they can begin development on their first-person VR FPS. I can't wait for that. And mark my words, Booker, on the 21st of the 2nd, 2016, Booker and Bamm have once again predicted the future. Mark our words. Ha.
Bring it on.
Right, guys. Well, that was our opinions about Dust 514, not Dust 514, and where they're going to be developing the new game. Hopefully, not Dust 514. And straight on, more CCP news are going straight over to a guy we all know and love.
This is C4W3, and this is a special shout out for CCP and the CSM staff. Hope your weekend was super, and we're rooting for you.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Jolly and Bam here. We're back for episode 11, and today we have C4W3 with us today, talking about Care4Kids.
Hello, hello.
Yes, hello C4, how are you doing today, dude? We have got you here today to answer some very, very important questions because we were alerted to your presence thanks to a very good friend of ours, a guy called Stroker, because he likes stroking his Bamm, which is me. I like my head being stroked, yes. And Jolly, believe it or not, didn't know a single thing about Care4Kids. And I brought him along because he wants to know more about Care4Kids. So that's what our question's going to be basically revolve around. Who are you, what you are, and all that jazz. So Jolly, fire the first question away, dude.
It isn't that I didn't know exactly a lot about it. I was interested in it, though. All right, the first thing we're going to go with is, how did it actually come about? Like, what made you want to start helping out the little kids in the hospital?
Well, it kind of started about 2 years ago since I'm suffering from chronic kidney failure, and I'm attending hospitals every 2 weeks where I normally bring my laptop. And of course, I play EVE Online on my laptop. So on my ward, there were if I remember it right, like 2 or 3 kids asking, what is this? They were like playing Minecraft and so on and so forth. And I kind of introduced them to EVE Online. And I kind of didn't think about it at all after that when I, traveled home. And about 6 months later, I attended the same ward and I looked at one of the stationary computers and I saw a fresh install of EVE Online. So I put up a flyer asking, is anyone still playing EVE Online? And then I got a massive response, like 15, 16 kids saying that, whenever they attend hospital, they log on to EVE and they've been playing on trial accounts and stuff. And that's really how it started.
Nice, dude. Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. That's pretty nice.
That's actually pretty cool. So you actually started Care4Kids out the need for kids to play video games, and we all agree that more people playing video games is a good thing. So what is actually Care4Kids? How do you go about it?
Well, it's kind of simple because when I started Care4Kids, like the idea, and I actually sat down with my wife and said that I really need something to do because I'm bored out of my mind. Having dialysis is both painful and boring as hell. So I started to think about what do I want a non-profit organization to do for kids at hospitals. So I thought that why don't I, gift the kids that are playing EVE Online some care packages. So initially I ran it by my corporate Cuckoo and by my alliance PL, which kind of quickly donated, plexus and chips and stuff. So we made, cans called care packages and gifted the kids. And after about, 6-7 months, pretty much Care4Kids just exploded, where I saw the need really for kids to have something else to do besides, watching the telly or, just hanging out. So a lot of kids spent a couple of hours a day, doing the trials, playing EVE Online. And that's really where I started off when my ideas about Care4Kids came to.
That's actually pretty sweet. So you said you're actually doing an event now. What events are you actually doing?
Right now I'm sitting in my Baltic Sea island called Gotland, where I'm running a Care4Kids event where we play EVE Online and computer games. And we're playing from about this time until tomorrow, where we have guests. We have CCP Mimic from CCP attending tomorrow. And we're going to chat with some game designers and some EVE famous people like Ron Mexico, Rocket X, and Suas from Goons.
So you're bringing the goons in on this. Like, I think I get where you're going with this. Like, are these kids, like, what are they doing while they're playing EVE? Are they mining a bunch? Is that what's going on?
Well, the fun part here with Care4Kids and the kids playing EVE Online is that my plan from the start, and CCP Guard actually brought this up on the 07 show where he said that it's pretty cool that this dude is creating his own child army, which has become totally the opposite. Because first I created the Care4Kids Corporation, and then I created Care4Kids Alliance. And normally they're in Care4Kids for about 2-3 weeks until they start to get the hang of it. And now we have, kids breaking off into, Goons and Pandemic Horde and NC and EVE University and pretty much all over. I mean, I have kids that are, not interested in anything at all besides, doing like freighters and trading and stuff like that. And then I have kids that, play 2-3 hours whenever they have the chance, and all they want to do is PvP. So what I actually thought from the beginning was totally wrong, and I was mistaken. So they kind of decide whatever they want to do.
So you talked about how people in your alliance were talking about helping. So how can other people help exactly?
Well, we have, from the get-go, Care4Kids was in-game donation charity. When Care4Kids grew to over pretty much 150 kids, me and my wife came up with the splendid idea of actually gifting kids stuff IRL, which means that we create gift packages. We buy gift boxes, and then whatever people send to us, we gift them. If it's, shirts, books, games, and so on and so forth. We put it into a gift basket or gift box, and then we send it to them. For example, for the Christmas event, we gifted 210 kids with 150 kilos of candy and Christmas cards and stuff from EVE players all over the world. So, yeah.
Okay, so as Jolly was saying, how can I as an individual get involved with Care4Kids? Because this sounds like a lot of good that needs to be done in the great big real world that we all live in.
Yeah, what we're doing right now is that whoever wants to gift anything, donations and so on and so forth, if I, for example, contact a company and say that, hey, do you have anything to give us, and then explain what Care4Kids is about, I leave it up to the company to actually make the decision first off if they want to gift something, and then who they want to gift. So, for example, right now we're looking for a German representative for Care4Kids in Germany. So, for example, they have, let's say, 2 hospitals there, and you have a German person that wants to, gift just specifically to a German hospital. We can, set that up, and that's why the communication between the community and Care4Kids needs to be as transparent as possible. So we actually, work together to a common goal. But I mean, the dream scenario would be, if, Dell or whoever would, gift us computers, because in a normal ward where about 30 kids is treated, they have 2 stationary computers with 6 hours a week of, playtime.
That is a lot of boredom. Right, so if there's any German folks out there who can be a representative for Care4Kids in the great land of Germany, please get in contact and we will directly send you to C4W3. Brilliant. So you mentioned earlier on that people like CCP Mimic, CCP Guard and stuff like that are actually getting fairly involved. So the CCP company itself is actually quite supportive of Care4Kids. Who else?
Well, as I said before, I mean, if I should give shout-outs, I mean, first off, of course, Ray Cuckoo. They have been so supportive when it comes to, first off, encouraging me, and of course, Pandemic Legion. And worth mentioning, the one that actually stood by me since the start, when we started out with 3-4 Kids, is Twitch streamer Bammsters. He actually gifts the kids in EVE Online about 100 billion a month in care packages every month. And he's a really big supporter of Care4Kids. And of course, the Australian community. Shout outs to Otto Bismarck and Bam Stoker, of course. And I couldn't thank enough, CCP for their support, mainly CCP Mimic, CCP Falcon, CCP Guard, and so on and so forth. They have been really supportive of the entire idea.
Okay, awesome. Enough about Care4Kids. Tell me about the man, C4W3. You gave us a brief intro to yourself in the beginning. Who is the man that's doing all these great things? Please, do enlighten me.
Well, yeah, my name is Jonas. I live on the middle of the Baltic Sea on an island called Gotland. I have 4 kids from the age 17 months to 21, which is, And I suffer from chronic kidney failure due to diabetes. And I had an accident about 12 years ago where I lost a lung also. So I'm kind of, cut in half, so to speak. So, I started to play EVE Online back in 2003, where me and a friend of mine called Kribba, he actually bought the game for me because it wasn't distributed in my region. So we started to play 2003, and I created a corporation called Corp1, where we focused on pirating, and we ran that about to 2007, 2008, and later on I joined Ray Cuckoo and Pandemic Legion. I work as a computer programmer for a rather large computer company. I work mainly with computer security and computer software for security. And I enjoy, spending time with my family. And as I said before, I got this, wonderful little baby girl right now, which, I love spending time with. So that's pretty much everything about me.
So you've mentioned earlier on in the previous comment that you're actually looking for a German representative to go around the German hospitals and actually give the gift of EVE Online to all the baby childrens. May God have mercy on their souls. Where else do you actually cover? Whereabouts on the world do you cover?
We cover Norway, Denmark, the UK, and we have a guy called The Bigger Boat, looking into the Australian hospitals. And I filed the forms for actually attending in the US, but they have about 1,000 forms to add, which is hard work since I'm not a US citizen, but we're working on it.
Do you have any upcoming events in the UK? I'm only asking because I'm specifically live in the UK. So hopefully maybe I could help out somewhere along the line or drag a few people from maybe CCP Newcastle to actually jump in with both feet and run around with their heads on fire.
That would be super cool because we're working towards a hospital in Oxford that has a kids ward where we're aiming to focus on kids between 10 and 16 in the UK. So I'll send you all the information so you can check it out.
Brilliant, and hopefully I can twist a few arms in CCP Newcastle to join me. Haha.
Well, I'm going to say Bamm definitely fits that age group of 10 through 16. Like, I'm just going to put that out there now. Like, he would definitely be in there. So, like, you've mentioned Eve. Is there a possibility? Like, I know CCP just mentioned the whole Nod Dust 514 thing on PC. Is there any possibility you're actually looking into that at all? Like, are the kids wanting to play FPS at all, or is it just the spaceships?
We're working towards actually introducing Gunjack and VR to the kids. Working really hard to obtain at least 2 of the VR systems for helping the kids.
That's cool. That's very cool. You do good work, dude. No, seriously, you do good work. I'm actually very impressed by what you've actually managed to accomplish in such a short space of time. I'm actually glad you've actually graced us with your presence because I'm gobsmacked. Someone of your stature have actually managed to go ahead and actually do something like this and pull it off and actually do a damn good job of it, mate. Well done. Well bloody done.
Thank you, buddy.
No, dude, seriously. It's also a case of what I think is quite funny that you do actually have a little kiddie army mining and fighting mob battles and stuff and running around goons. That's absolutely brilliant. It's brilliant. It's brilliant.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like, that's one of the awesome things I was thinking about. Like, being in the hospital, that's the one thing you don't want to do. Is like, all you do is like sit around all freaking day. The boredom, I can only imagine. And like, video games are definitely a way to ignore that and be somewhere else. So yeah, the VR thing, I could totally see little kids with the VR helmets on and not in the hospital at all.
At the end of the day, I mean, if you look at, how long they spend in a hospital, I mean, we have kids that spend, I mean, for example, cancer treatment, that's, 6 months to a year. We have a lot of kids that are suffering from the same things that I do, and that's like every 2 weeks, and then you spend all the time doing dialysis and so on and so forth. And I mean, whatever I can provide, as you said before, in a dream scenario, what could I provide? And I mean, in a dream world would be, iPads or, laptops or computers for everyone, just to take away a little bit of that worry, because the biggest thing is the worry, for some not surviving, and for some, just being bored as fuck.
Like, how are the parents actually? Like, the parents of the kids, are they digging what you're doing? Like, helping out with their sons and daughters?
At first, they thought I was going to steal their kids' credit cards or the parents' credit cards and, rob them blind. But when I started to explain, that we're not giving them, something that they have to subscribe to or they have to do this because this is an option. And I pretty much talked to 90% of the kids and their parents, what can I do to make your day a little less boring? And I mean, EVE Online isn't for everyone. So, for example, I gave some kids Minecraft. I gave them books, board games. We played Dungeons and Dragons. And I mean, you have to be very open-minded and, treat everyone with, respect, and also the parents and so on and so forth.
So it's not just EVE Online you guys actually go ahead and play with the kids. You actually go ahead and do games like Dungeons and Dragons. I used to love Dungeons and Dragons when I was a kid, man. Used to love it. Right, C4, dude, is there anybody else you want to mention? Give a shout out through thank you to community thanks, whatever have you, to anyone who's actually supporting you currently at your events.
Our, greatest supporter and also, our greatest, sponsor is, of course, as I said, our corp and our alliance, and of course, Iron Bank from I Want Disc. He has been like really supportive. Same goes with Bam Stoker from eBet. He's been gifting me like every event I've been running, and same goes with the local companies. I mean, I couldn't have done this, computer meetup with the kids this weekend because they, provide, fiber optic switches, cables, connections, the venue, food, drinks, and so on and so forth. So, to the entire community, thank you very much, and love you all.
Okay, so C4, the last question we have for you, and it's a bit of a staple for every single interviewer to come along and have a chat with us, is the beer and bacon question. So I put it to you, sir. What bacon do you like to eat, and what beer do you like to accompany said bacon?
Well, I love wild boar, and I hunt wild boar. So I would say wild boar with maple syrup. And since I don't drink alcohol, I would say a Carlsberg, just to fuck it up as much as I can.
Of course, yes, you're on dialysis, you can't drink alcohol, and you've only got one lung. Great.
Yeah, I was thinking that the entire time, man. I was like, is he really going to ask the beer question? He's on
Talk about being inappropriate. Completely, totally, and utterly rude. Jeez.
I was also wondering about that too. Like at one point you're like dialysis and you're messing with all this candy and stuff. I think somebody said something about diabetic, right?
Yeah, I'm diabetic, but normally I gift kids that we have a pretty good communication between hospital staff and nutritionists and physical therapeutic people, which is super cool because, I mean, as long as you keep everything, on a grassroots level and you approach them with a, here's what I can provide, and I'll try my very best to provide just that. Is there anything you can tell me that makes my life easier and I can help you better?
Good stuff. So the hospitals are actually like helping out pretty good bit, like the nurses and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm imagining some of these nurses are actually getting on the computers while everybody's away and playing themselves.
Yeah.
Confirmed. Ha! You never know. The person that might shoot you out your rift is a nurse from hospital. Brilliant.
That would be pretty sweet, yeah.
Well, it was awesome to talk to C4 today, and we're going to let him go back to playing with the kids in the hospital, which he is currently doing right now, and this was Jolly.
And this is Bamm. Guys, thank you very much for joining us. Thank you very much for listening to us. Thank you very much for participating in the discussion with C4.
And a big thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure, and I love the show. So thank you very much.
We have a fan. We have one fan, Jolly. One fan. we have our one viewer.
So we finally found him. High five.
High five. We finally found him. High five. Right, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for listening. See you all in the next video. Cheers, guys. Bye.